promised myself I was going to stop. I knew I wasn't going to get over this.
That is Clinton Wright, 51 years old, Senior County Clerk for Hendricks County, Indiana.
I don't know what got over me. It was the devil.
He has sat in that same office for 14 years. 14 years holding a county seal, a notary stamp, and full access to every single property record in the entire county. He was the person people trusted to keep their homes safe on paper. And between March 2019 and August 2022, he used every bit of that trust to run one of the quietest, most calculated property scams this state has ever seen. 23 properties, forged deed transfers, fake ownership records stamped and filed by the very man whose job was to stop exactly that. The total stolen came out to $115,400. His victims included elderly homeowners, a disabled veteran, and a church. He now faces 11 federal counts. If convicted on all of them, Clinton Wright is looking at a maximum of 47 years behind bars. He spent 14 years watching over everyone else's paperwork. He thought that made him invisible. He was wrong. Here's a question before we go any further. If someone working inside your county government, someone whose entire job is to protect your property records, decided to steal your home on paper, would you ever even find out? Drop your answer in the comments right now. This channel covers real cases, real footage, and the exact moment the system catches up with the people who thought they owned it. If that's your kind of content, subscribe and hit the bell. Let's get into it. Terre Haute, Indiana, 1973. Clinton Devereux Wright comes into the world as the second of 4 children. His mother, Opaline Wright, works in a school cafeteria, on her feet all day serving lunch to other people's kids. His father, Garfield Wright Sr., does electrical work when he can get it and drives a bread delivery truck when he can't. Between the two of them, they keep the lights on, they keep food on the table, but they never, not once, own the ground they stand on. The family rents a clapboard house on Spruce Crossing Road. It is small and drafty and belongs to a landlord who raises the rent twice in 3 years and once changes the locks over a disputed $40. $40. Garfield Sr. stands on the porch that day with his jaw tight and says nothing. There is nothing to say. His name is not on the deed. His name is not on anything. Clinton is watching from the window. That image, his father, a grown man, locked out of his own home over $40, never fully leaves him. And in ways that won't become clear until much later, it plants something deep. At school, Clinton is not the kid who raises his hand the most or talks the loudest. He is the kid who pays attention to how things work. Teachers at Booker T. Washington Elementary notice it early. One third-grade report card, written by a teacher named Mrs. Aldis, puts it plainly. It says Clinton has an unusual interest in how rules are written, not just what they say. He is 8 years old. Most 8-year-olds are thinking about recess. Clinton is thinking about the fine print. At 16, he gets a summer placement through a school-to-work program. He is sent to the Vigo County Assessor's office to file documents. He takes to it immediately. He is quiet, fast, and almost obsessive about order. Files go back exactly where they came from. Folders are labeled before they are touched. His supervisor that summer is a woman named Dorthelle Cruz, and at the end of the placement, she writes one line in his evaluation that will stay with Clinton Wright for the rest of his life. Clinton understands that a document filed correctly is a document that becomes the truth. He reads it, he folds it, he keeps it. After high school, Clinton enrolls at Indiana State University. Business administration, minor in public administration. He is not a flashy student, he is a steady one. He graduates in 1996, and when he walks across that stage, he becomes the first person in the Wright family to hold a college degree. Opaline frames the diploma and hangs it in the living room. Garfield Sr. shakes his son's hand, looks him in the eye, and says 4 words. Get something with your name on it. Clinton Wright hears that. He carries it. The following spring, he walks into county government as a junior clerk. He is 24 years old, patient, and precise. For the next 14 years, he is exactly what everyone around him needs him to be: reliable, trusted, and completely above suspicion. For now. Clinton Wright starts at Hendricks County in 1997 as a junior deed processing clerk, and from day one, he is exactly the kind of employee that managers quietly thank their lucky stars for. He is not flashy. He does not talk about himself. He brings his lunch in a plastic container, eats at his desk, and gets back to work. During tax assessment season, when the office drowns in paperwork and everyone else is watching the clock, Clinton stays late without being asked. No complaint, no request for overtime praise. He just stays and gets it done. That kind of quiet reliability adds up over time. People notice it even when they don't say anything. And in a county government office, where the work is slow and detailed, and most people would rather be somewhere else, a man who actually cares about getting things right stands out fast. By 2004, Clinton is promoted to senior deed examiner. He now reviews property transfers before they are officially recorded. He checks signatures, confirms notary seals, and makes sure the chain of ownership on every document is clean and correct. He is good at it, exceptionally good, and everyone around him knows it. Then in 2009, the office's longtime clerk, Beverlyn Ostrowski, retires after more than 2 decades on the job. She is the kind of person a place is built around, and when she leaves, there is a real question about who could possibly fill that role. The answer, to almost everyone in the building, is obvious. Clinton Wright is appointed Senior County Clerk. In this position, he oversees everything: deed transfers, property title recordings, lien filings. The entire notarization pipeline for Hendricks County runs through his desk. His supervisor, County Recorder Tadashi Pemberton, tells anyone who will listen that Clinton is the institutional memory of this office. That is not just a compliment. It is a precise description of what Clinton has become. He knows where every file lives. He knows which property titles have legal problems attached to them. He knows which estates are still sitting in probate. He knows which elderly homeowners haven't updated their records in years, which ones have no mortgage company checking in on their behalf, and which ones have simply gone quiet. He is given 3 county seals. He is granted solo notarization authority, meaning he can legally authenticate certain documents without a second witness present. In most offices, that kind of power comes with extra oversight. In Hendricks County, it comes with trust, because it is Clinton Wright, and Clinton Wright has never given anyone a single reason to doubt him. In 2017, at the County Employee Appreciation Banquet, Clinton is handed a wooden plaque engraved with the words 14 years of exemplary service. He thanks the room, he smiles, he takes the plaque back to the office the next morning and mounts it on the wall directly behind his desk where everyone who walks in can see it. And that is exactly where it stays. Right there on the wall, above the man who knows more about Hendricks County property records than anyone alive. Everyone in that building believes the same thing about Clinton Wright. They believe he is the system. They are right. And that is precisely the problem. To understand what Clinton Wright did, you first have to understand how the system was supposed to work. Because this was not a case where someone found a random loophole by accident. This was a man who studied the walls of a building for 14 years, learned exactly where the cracks were, and then waited. In Indiana, moving a property from one person's name to another follows a clear, step-by-step process. The seller signs a deed. A licensed notary watches them sign it and then stamps and signs the document to confirm they witnessed it. That deed gets handed over to the county recorder's office. A clerk reviews it, stamps it, gives it an official document number, and enters it into the public index. From that moment forward, the transfer is legal. It is permanent. As far as the law is concerned, it is the truth. On paper, this system has real protection built into it. Deeds require original signatures. Notaries have to be licensed and bonded, meaning they are accountable for what they certify. Every transfer is supposed to match up with some kind of financial record, a sale price, a mortgage, a tax payment, something that proves a real transaction took place. It sounds solid, it is not. The first weak point is signature verification. County clerks are trained to check whether a document is formatted correctly. They look for a notary seal. They check that the right lines are filled in. What they do not do is confirm whether the notary actually stood in the room and watched the seller sign. If the seal looks real and the paperwork looks clean, the document moves forward. No one calls the notary to verify. No one compares the signature to a previous record. The format is correct, so it passes. The second weak point is owner notification. Indiana law does not require anyone to directly contact a property owner when their deed is transferred. The change gets recorded in a public index, which anyone can technically search. But most homeowners have no idea that index exists, let alone that they should be checking it. If your name disappears from a deed on a Tuesday afternoon, there is a real chance you will not find out for months, maybe longer, maybe never. The third weak point is the gap between offices. The deed recording office and the county tax office do not talk to each other in real time. A fraudulent transfer filed on a Tuesday might not trigger any kind of tax reassessment flag for 60 to 90 days. That is a wide open window. Put all three of those cracks together, and here is what you get. An insider who has notarization authority, who knows which estates are sitting dormant, and who controls the recording system can file a fake deed transfer, and the system will process it without question. Not because the system is lazy, because the system trusts the clerk. Clinton Wright knew every single detail of this. He did not just learn it over time. In 2011, he personally helped write the office's internal filing manual. He helped build the instructions that every clerk in that office followed. He knew exactly where the gaps were. He put them there. March 2019. Fernette Wright goes to the doctor for what she thinks is a routine check. She comes home with a diagnosis, stage 2 breast cancer. Treatment starts almost immediately. Consultations, scans, surgery dates, medication schedules. The medical system moves fast when it needs to. The bills move faster. Clinton Wright is not a poor man. He and Fernette own a modest home in Avon, Indiana. He earns $64,000 a year, which is a steady, respectable government salary. For most of their life together, it has been enough. But in the first 8 months after Fernette's diagnosis, her medical expenses climb past $38,000 after insurance covers what it covers and leaves the rest sitting on their kitchen table. Clinton applies for a second mortgage. It is denied. He checks his credit line. It is maxed. He sits at his desk at work one morning, and for the first time in 14 years, he looks at the property index differently. He is not thinking about filing anymore. He is thinking about what is sitting in there unclaimed. The first name he lands on is Rosalind Thibodeau, 84 years old. She passed away in February 2019, just 1 month before Fernette's diagnosis. She left behind no surviving immediate family. Her property, a small 1,100 square foot house on Millrace Court, is caught in an unclosed estate. No executor has been appointed. Probate is still pending. As far as the county system is concerned, that house is just sitting there waiting on paperwork that may never come. Clinton knows this because it is his job to know this. He has known it since the day Rosalind's death was flagged in the system. He creates a forged warranty deed. The document shows that Rosalind Thibodeau's estate transferred the Millrace Court property to a company called Hendricks Property Solutions LLC, a shell company he registered 6 weeks earlier, quietly, under a version of Fernette's maiden name. He notarizes the deed himself. He files it himself. He records it himself. Every step of the process that is supposed to have different people checking different parts, Clinton Wright handles alone. He then sells the house to a man named Shelford Niang, a first-generation Senegalese American who has been saving for years to buy his first home. Shelford pays $41,200. He moves in within 45 days. He hangs curtains. He puts a welcome mat at the door. He has absolutely no idea that the deed he is holding is built on a lie. Clinton splits the money across 4 different bank accounts over 9 days. Then he does it again. By mid-2020, he has filed 7 fraudulent transfers. By early 2021, 14. His targets follow the same careful pattern every time: deceased owners, missing heirs, elderly residents with no bank or mortgage company watching over their title. He transfers land belonging to a 61-year-old disabled veteran named Orrin Castellucci, who has been living in a VA-assisted facility and hasn't set foot on his property in 3 years. He transfers a small parcel belonging to Cornerstone Harvest Fellowship, a church in Plainfield that had been saving that land for a parking lot expansion. The church doesn't notice for 8 months. At his peak, Clinton is moving 2 to 3 properties every quarter. Fernette has a new car. The medical debt is gone. Clinton has started wearing better shoes, and he has not stopped. These cases matter because the fraud doesn't happen despite the system. It happens because someone became the system. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that bell. The next case drops this week, and you do not want to miss it. The investigation does not start inside Hendricks County. It does not start with an angry victim or a whistleblower or a suspicious coworker. It starts with a woman sitting at a desk in Indianapolis, doing a job she has done hundreds of times before, on a case that looks completely routine. Her name is Renly Fassbender, 38 years old, title insurance auditor. In the fall of 2021, she is reviewing a refinancing claim for a homeowner in Hendricks County. The homeowner is Shelford Niang, the same man who bought the Millrace Courthouse 2 years earlier, moved in, hung his curtains, and believed with his whole heart that he owned his home. Shelford is trying to refinance his mortgage. The bank orders a title search, which is standard, and somewhere in that search, a flag goes up. The estate of Rosalind Thibodeau never formally closed probate. There was never a judge's signature releasing her assets. There was never an executor appointed to authorize a sale, and yet a deed transfer exists, dated 9 months after her death, showing that her property changed hands. That deed was notarized and filed by the same county employee who would have been responsible for receiving and recording it in the first place. Renly pulls the document and reads it carefully. The notary seal looks real. The signature looks clean, but one detail does not add up. The estate case number printed on the deed does not match any active probate filing in the county court system. It is a number that does not exist. She does not let it go. Renly escalates the finding to the Indiana Attorney General's Property Fraud Unit. Investigators take the information and run a single database query, simple, direct, and devastating. They ask the system one question: how many deed transfers in Hendricks County over the past 3 years were both filed and notarized by the same employee? The answer comes back: 23. Investigators pull all 23 documents and go through them one by one. 21 of the 23 involve either deceased owners or people who are legally unable to manage their own affairs. In every single case, the buyer on the other end is a real person, a family, a small investor, a church, who had no idea the person selling them the property never had the right to sell it. Then they execute a search warrant on Clinton Wright's office. In the bottom drawer of his desk, underneath a folder of legitimate county filings, they find a plain spiral notebook. They open it. Inside, in Clinton Wright's own handwriting, are neat, organized columns running down every page. Property address, owner status, estate open or closed, LLC assigned, amount collected, date filed. Every fraudulent transfer he ever made, logged by hand, in ink, by the man who genuinely believed that controlling the system made him untouchable. They also recover 14 text messages between Clinton and a part-time notary named Chevron Aldecoa, 44 years old, who had been supplying him with blank, pre-signed notarization forms in exchange for a single payment of $3,800. One message from Clinton reads, "Just need the seal on the Castellucci one, same as before." Chevron's reply, "Done. Don't text me about this anymore." Chevron Aldecoa is arrested separately. She cooperates with investigators within 48 hours, September 14th, 2022. In the morning. The Hendricks County Recorder's Office is quiet at that hour. The kind of quiet that comes with fluorescent lights and rolling chairs and the soft sound of papers being moved from one stack to another. A normal Tuesday. Nothing about the morning has given anyone any reason to look up from their work. Clinton Wright is at his desk. In front of him is a stack of legitimate deed transfers. Real ones, routine ones, the kind he has processed thousands of times over 14 years. His coffee is sitting beside him, already going cold. His reading glasses are pushed up on top of his head. His county ID badge is clipped to the pocket of his blue Oxford shirt, right where it always is. He looks, in every way, like a man who is exactly where he belongs. Then the front door opens. Detective Solveig Brannig of the Indiana Attorney General's Property Fraud Unit walks in with 2 officers behind her and a federal warrant in her hand. She does not rush. She does not raise her voice. She moves through the office the way someone moves when they have already won and they know it. She stops in front of Clinton's desk, looks at him directly, and says his name wrong on purpose. "Mr. Washington? Clinton Washington? We need you to come with us." It is a tactic, a small, deliberate test. She wants to see how he responds when he is caught off guard, whether he freezes, whether he runs, whether something flickers across his face that shouldn't be there. Clinton looks up at her, then at the two officers, then back at her. "My name isn't Washington. I'm Clinton Wright. I work here." Branna holds the pause for just a moment. "Yeah, we know." 4 of Clinton's colleagues are in the office when it happens. They watch from their desks as he has walked out from behind the counter and through the main floor toward the exit. No one says anything. There is nothing to say. The man they have worked beside for years, the man who knew where every file lived, the man who stayed late and brought his lunch and kept everything in order, that man is being walked out in handcuffs in a blue Oxford shirt with his ID badge still clipped to his chest. Outside, in the pale September light, the second officer moves to place Clinton into the back of the vehicle. And right at that moment, quietly, not directed at anyone in particular, Clinton Wright says something. "I just needed to get through a hard time. That's all it was." His voice is low, almost calm, like a man explaining something simple to himself. Then he gets in the car, and after that, Clinton Wright says nothing. Not that day. Not to investigators, not to anyone outside of his legal team. 72 hours later, his attorney releases a written statement. It is short and says very little. When investigators return to the office for a second evidence sweep later that week, the plaque is still mounted on the wall behind his desk, right where he put it, exactly where it has always been. 14 years of exemplary service. They photograph it before they take it down. When the charges are formally filed, they come in hard. 11 federal counts across 3 separate indictments: wire fraud, mail fraud, identity fraud, and filing false instruments. The kind of charge sheet that takes up multiple pages and lists victims by name, one after another, until the weight of it becomes very difficult to ignore. Clinton's defense team, led by Indianapolis attorney Caldwell Burge, gets to work immediately. Their first move is to challenge the spiral notebook. They file a motion to suppress it, arguing that the search warrant used to enter Clinton's office was too broad and that the notebook should not be allowed as evidence. It is a reasonable legal argument. It does not work. The motion is denied. The notebook stays in. With his strongest defense strategy gone, Clinton Wright makes a decision. In April 2023, he pleads guilty to 7 of the 11 counts as part of a negotiated agreement. He does not go to trial. He does not take the stand. He does not look any of his victims in the eye inside a courtroom and try to explain himself to a jury. But his victims still get their moment. At sentencing, federal prosecutor Awase Philomena Osei reads victim impact statements into the record one by one. Several are submitted in writing. One is delivered in person. Shelford Nyang, the man who bought the Millrace courthouse and moved in and built a life inside it, stands up in that courtroom and speaks directly to the court. He does not yell. He does not break down. He simply says what is true. "I saved for 11 years. 11 years. 6 words, the room holds them. Judge Roscoe Dalhart sentences Clinton Devereux Wright to 9 years and 4 months in federal prison. $115,400 in restitution. Full forfeiture of all assets connected to Hendricks Property Solutions, LLC. Chevron Aldecoa, the notary who supplied the blank pre-signed forms, receives 18 months. Suspended to supervised probation in recognition of her early cooperation with investigators. In the months that follow, Hendricks County rewrites its deed recording process from the ground up. A second signature is now required on any transfer involving a deceased property owner. An automated cross-check between the deed office and the probate court goes live in 2024. That system had been requested by clerks since 2013. It took a fraud spanning 23 properties and 3 years to finally get it funded. The estate of Rosalind Thibodeau is formally reopened. Investigators locate a distant niece living in Lexington, Kentucky, the only remaining heir. She travels to Indiana to see the house on Millrace Court for the first time. When she arrives, she finds a family living inside it. A real family, with furniture and a welcome mat, and no idea whatsoever that any of this ever happened. 6 weeks after sentencing, the recorder's office takes Clinton's plaque down from the wall. They fill the nail hole with spackle. They repaint the wall. By the time the paint dries, you cannot tell anything was ever mounted there. No mark, no outline, no trace. That spackled wall is how institutions move on from the people they trusted most, quietly, cleanly, like it never happened. If this case hit different, you already know what to do. Subscribe, share it with somebody, and I will see you in the next one.